everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And Eric and I are here to chat with you a little bit today about Batman, Soul of the Dragon. Finally getting around to this. Eric and I had a hard time getting our schedules together the last few weeks, so I know this has been out a while. I actually grabbed this the week of. We'd planned on sitting down and watching this, and we didn't get to it until
There was an Arctic,
just now.
What was that called? It was an Arctic something.
The only thing that's coming to me is Blast, but I know that's not right. Yeah, Arctic Freeze.
Yeah,
whatever.
Something
Yeah,
like that.
but yeah, it was super crazy cold, and like I told you guys on the live show, Eric wasn't able to make it because it was just too cold in the evening. So anyway, we are finally together, and we just sat down and watched this. So we're talking about it seconds after a screening, and this is very much more your kind of thing than my kind of thing. So I'm really going to let you run point on this, Eric. Tell us a little bit about the brand new animated movie, Batman: Soul of the Dragon.
It's really good. It's like a 70s kung fu thing. It's pulling from a lot of stuff that neither of us are super familiar with. It seems like it's pulling a lot from Richard Dragon. We kept looking up characters. It's like, that's from Richard Dragon. That my exposure to Richard Dragon is in Dennis O'Neill's The Question. I never read the original run. I don't know if this is adapting that in any way beyond characters.
I didn't even know Richard Dragon was a Denny O'Neil character in the first place. I learned a lot looking at this. I didn't know. You told me that was originally a novel first that DC published, and then it got a book, or a monthly, like a year after that. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
So that character starts in 74 and then gets a book in 75. And characters that I'm somewhat familiar with, but had not dealt with much, were first in that book, including Lady Shiva. I didn't know that was a creation of that book, and Bron Steiger is also a creation of that book.
I also didn't know. I thought Shiva came from The Question.
So got an education with this.
Yeah, it's really good. It does feel like this isn't exactly what they want to make. They want like what we kind of talked about this. Like it's a Batman movie, but like it feels like they want to just be making a kung fu thing. And we're going to use characters that are there in the DC universe. A lot felt like they wanted to make a Shang-Chi movie to me. And it's probably better than what I expect Shang-Chi to end up as. At least as far as the fight scenes go. The fight scenes were great. There's a lot of them. They're really well choreographed. They're really well animated. It's what I want live action movies to do, where it steps back and lets you see the movements of the.
It looks meticulously choreographed.
And did you feel like it felt stuffed?
It's like you're watching a really good fighting game.
I don't think this is any longer than any of the other ones, but it felt like a lot happened.
I thought so too.
It felt like they really utilized their time.
They didn't waste any time, but there's also it's really well paced. There's a decent sense of downtime at the same time.
This is 83 minutes.
Which is on the long side for these.
It felt like it could have been 100 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much that goes down in this. Yeah, it's
doesn't it also take its time in the right places as well, though? I mean, there's especially in the flashbacks where Bruce is training with the sensei with the rest of these characters, because it's sort of like a team that's formed later in order to take down this supernatural threat, this King Snake. And is that what it is, King Snake?
King Snake is the blind guy.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the guy's name is.
Whatever the big scary bad guy, that can possess people and stuff, that comes from an interdimensional portal.
Well, that's Naga.
Oh yeah, that's Naga. Okay, but
I don't know who the leader was. There was a couple of characters I don't know who this is.
It's weirdly involved, and it's involved in the kind of way that these old kung fu movies are.
Well, and
at least what I've seen, because I don't know this genre, but the couple things I've seen, this is how they're plotted, and this is how they're paced.
And we said this about the Superman one, this could have been live action. They released it in 83 minutes. I wouldn't have felt like I got gypped.
No, and I think by and large, the script, just like with Man of Tomorrow, could have been the script for a live action movie.
Yeah, and it would have been great. Yeah,
but I think that it's utilizing the animation really well. It's making
doing stuff that
for being an animated film.
Because if you cut out the monsters, this could be probably a $40 million Batman movie. But with all of the with the stuff that they're doing,
you need a Doctor Strange budget.
Yeah, you need to up it. This would have to be a $100 million budget kind of a thing. And I like that they can do that because you wouldn't do this in live action.
No, certainly not.
But it also doesn't
and you
feel...
wouldn't expect it to sell. This is one of those movies that Man of Tomorrow was, if we're comparing them now that we're in like this new era of these animated movies, and oh boy, am I excited about that, because now 2 does not a pattern make, but we've had 2 in a row that have been not just okay, but like quite good. And
what's next? Long Halloween? Which feels like they're going back to formula.
I wanted to back to formula. I feel like there was like there's even one in between, isn't there? Or is Long Halloween the very next thing? Maybe it is. I don't remember. But we'll see what that ends up looking like. But like, it's not even that Power Rangers thing where it's good for these. Like,
no, yeah. Well, and so was,
these last couple have been good for movies. Like, if
Superman 1. If they put that in theaters live action as the Superman, if that had come out instead of Man of Steel, it would have been a great Superman movie.
I never want to promise for sure, obviously, what a score is going to be, because it's based on the last time I saw a thing, but when we get to Rewind, these are 3 or 3.5s.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, I feel like I don't have a lot to say. Like, there's a lot in it, but it's really good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The animation's super fluid. It doesn't... Yeah.
It's really polished. It feels like a thing they really wanted to make. Oh, I know what I was going to say a minute ago. So the Man of Steel movie felt more mainstream than this, where it wanted to maybe appeal to a broader audience, but it was taking some really good story risks. This is one of those things that doesn't care who's watching it.
I don't know who this is for, like on a marketing level.
Yeah.
Because it's not really for Batman fans. If it is for Batman fans, it's for like people who like the 70s stuff. Like, this is very 70s Batman.
Yeah.
He's in the penthouse. Silver Snake Cloud is in it. He's doing kung fu.
And I only appreciated that stuff because you turned me on to that era of Batman comics. I've reviewed a little bit of that with you, but had never read it before. And
I want to read more. It's visually, just so terribly collected.
Yeah, visually, I've always loved that era. Like, I always say that that's probably like my favorite, Batman look, the like Neil Adams look. But it's not like I've read a lot of Neil Adams. The Batsuit in this is really cool.
It's great. I wish the bat was a little bigger, but otherwise it's great. I love the ears. I've never seen these ears animated like that. Like, they looked like thicker.
It's a little thicker, and it's got the it's got the blue lines on the eyebrows.
Oh, did it? I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I noticed that toward the end, which we haven't done a lot, and that's a Neil Adams thing too, I think.
And he's and the voice cast is great.
Everybody, there's not a weak link. I don't think. I think everybody's pretty good. If we have to do, and I want to do this real fast. If we have to do best thing, worst thing, my worst thing is probably like I have to grope. It's pretty good. There's a couple of kind of like sort of cringeworthy lines from Shiva. Where I was just like, I don't know why that's thrown in here. But other than that, I mean, I thought the script was really solid, and I thought all the voice cast was really good. I like that we care about voice cast again with these things, because for a long time we were really phoning that in, and we're going back to like really good proven voice actors, but also regular actors that maybe haven't done a lot of voice acting. Well, I guess
James Hong.
Yeah, that guy has done some voice acting, hasn't he?
Well, yeah, and he's in...
You mentioned Kung Fu Panda. I forgot about that.
I'm sure he's another thing.
But he's not known primarily as a voice actor.
I think he's just one of those people that just works. But usually when he shows up in things, even live action, like both live action and animation when he shows up, like he's never... Like, he gets a much meatier role here than I've seen him get in a long time.
Maybe ever, yeah, in a long time. So he's the sensei in this, and he gives this material quite a bit of credibility. Like, I think it ups the production value quite a bit, just
like
because
he's having fun.
Yeah,
everybody on this sounds like
it's a passion project.
I mean, MVP is
Michael Jai White.
Michael Jai White. He's clearly having a blast, and we know he loves this era, and we know he loves kung fu. I mean, he's a martial artist, but like.
Yeah, and he's done his own blaxploitation thing, and this has an element of that.
Which also has kung fu stuff in it. Like, it's very...
well, the soundtrack right away, I was thinking blaxploitation, and then you reminded me this is also just what kung fu movies of the 70s sound like.
Yeah, it's very funk.
My best thing, by the way, is the soundtrack. It's an amazing score. It's beautiful, and it goes to it's versatile. It goes to a lot of different places, and I like the way that it's used to kind of bring us in and out of the flashbacks. Because like we'll be
we missed the first one.
We did.
I was like, is this a flashback?
But after that, I picked up on the pattern, and it was like when we go to the past and we're in, and we're at like the dojo, where they're all training. This would be during like the probably 10-year period where Batman's training, and he's training with this sensei and Shiva and all these other people, and we spend a significant amount of time there. Like it's almost its own story.
It's weird how much is in this movie. Like now that it's over, it's 83 minutes. Like there's a lot of flashbacks. Like, and not in a bad way. Like, there's so much crammed in here, and it feels deliberately paced. But at 83 minutes, it feels like it should have felt like it was rushing.
Yeah. Well, and when you say there's a lot of flashbacks, like that's all linear. It's structured a lot like Mask of the Phantasm, where there's a story that's happening in the past that is informing what happens in the present. It's kind of two different stories
and they're both
simultaneously. They're both moving forward, and then eventually they'll converge. Begins has that to a degree at the beginning as well, but this is a lot more like Mask of the Phantasm in the way that it's paced.
Do we know who wrote this one?
In the way that it's structured, I should say.
I didn't catch writer on
I
this
didn't
one.
either, now that you say that.
Oh, and they don't list credits on the back DVDs anymore.
You can look it up real quick.
Yeah, I don't know who wrote this. If it's one of their new guys or it's somebody, because a lot of we were looking at the producers because we're trying to figure out if this is part of the line that Superman's part of, or if this is one of Bruce Timm's like little things he pops in and does.
He's an executive producer on this, but I don't know how Sam Register and I don't know how
who are always on.
But I think Guzlin's name is on everything.
Everything Batman.
But yeah, I don't know how involved they are and if they've kind of gone off on their own and made this, but I don't know, like.
This feels like this feels of a piece with the Superman one.
That's what I was going to say.
It's a very different thing, but like if you told me those people made it, I wouldn't be surprised.
I would honestly be surprised to see nobody's name from that on this. That would surprise me more.
It's weird because this and Superman, like, I can't imagine they have a bigger budget than they've had for the past like 8 years. But like both of these look so much better than what they've been doing.
It's just effort. It feels like.
Or they're just putting the money in like the right places, like they got better people.
And again, I don't want to throw too much shade at that previous franchise because we were really happy with the way it ended. We did like that last film quite a bit, and not ironically. I mean, it was legitimately good.
And we like Suicide Squad, which is in that continuity.
It had some stuff. Who wrote this? Jeremy Adams.
Yeah, I don't know him.
It's not a name I know, and he does not have a Wikipedia page.
So
this might be a first-time writer. Might be somebody that's only done a couple of things.
Yep.
I would have to search farther.
But yeah, everybody should see this. Like, especially if you like kung fu stuff. If you like 70s Batman.
It's not going to be for everybody, most certainly. It's not a me thing. Like, I really enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. I don't gravitate toward kung fu movies.
I will buy this. Like, I don't buy these very often. I still haven't bought Man Tomorrow, which I intend to.
Yeah.
But like, I will buy this. Like, the second the price drops a little bit. Like, once it's $10, like, I'll definitely pick it up.
Could you throw a best thing, worst thing at it?
Best thing is choreography and how we stage the fights. I like getting to see the fights.
I love the speed lines.
Yep, and the blurring when they're moving.
Yeah.
I think the fights are great.
I like that everybody has a slightly different fighting style. Like, you're right, they were all, we talked about this, they were all trained by the same person, so maybe they shouldn't, but I like that after everybody leaves, they have their own lives, and you get a sense that they've had, like, their own personal evolution, they develop on their own. There's a bit of tragedy to all of that, too, where these characters don't all go off and become, like, superheroes. They're more anti-heroes than anything.
Yeah, none of them do.
And they kind of make a case for Batman being nearly on that level. Like, he's not played as an anti-hero, but he's played as a tragic figure, just like the rest of them. He's not happy with his life.
Like, he didn't go off and like do well for himself.
Yeah, and they're not just learning how to fight, they're learning how to live better. They're learning wisdom, and they don't all use that to its greatest effect. And especially Shiva, who's probably the worst of them, who becomes kind of a big mob boss.
Worst thing, I don't know. I don't have a worst thing.
What would you change about it?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I don't have a worse thing. I can think of off the top of my head.
You might find like plot issues or something if you watched it a second time.
Just
on a first screening. It seems pretty solid to me. Like I said, this is probably not a thing I would go back to all the time myself. But I appreciate, because I agree with you. Like, I think you're right and you're wrong at the same time. Like, I agree that it seemed like these people just really wanted to make a kung fu movie, but it's also not not a Batman movie.
No, absolutely.
And I don't understand that criticism. The only thing I've heard about this from other folks, I think maybe, I don't want to throw him under the bus, I think Austin told me this, that he saw it and thought, or that he had heard this from other people, that it was like Assault on Arkham, which is a pretty good movie, but has Batman in the title, and is it really about Batman? This very much is about Batman.
It's definitely about Batman.
It's a dual character. It's a dual character arc, as much if it's anything. But I think if we just, and I'm a title guy. If we just want to break down the title and for a second, like everything about that title is what this movie is.
And it wouldn't have sold if it was just Soul of the Dragon, but even more so, obviously, than Assault on Arkham. Like Assault on Arkham, actually, Assault on Arkham probably could have sold because it has Arkham in the title.
I think Arkham sells those games more than Batman does at a certain point.
But like Batman didn't need to be in that movie. Like Batman has to be.
Batman. This is about.
You can't
Batman.
remove Batman from this movie.
No, and which is wonderful. So the nice thing is they know how to tell a story. So if they didn't really care that much about Batman and they just used that as an excuse to make this, they still utilized the elements that they had and did it right, where they're like, okay, we do have Batman, so it would be wrong of us to not like deal with with who that character really is at the core, and the spirit, the soul, if you will, of that character. There's a wonderful scene in the flashbacks that breaks down what Batman's all about, and the reason that Richard Dragon goes to him in the first place is because he says, "You're the most driven person I know." That's Batman to a T. That's the point of Batman. There's that great scene where he's supposed to try to break rocks with just a bare hand, and Bruce Wayne's not going to stop until he manages to do that, or just finds it finally completely impossible. You'll have to see it to see how that whole scene plays out. But it's not just generically he's a driven guy. He wants to push himself to the limits of human possibilities. We go back to we don't actually have to watch his parents die again, but we go back to what his motivation is for all of that in the first place. And it's a Batman movie.
I also really appreciate a lot of times when we do things like this, it'll, especially in the animated ones, it'll feel like a pilot where it's like, yeah, it's kind of a cool concept, and like at the end, like the team's together, whatever, things are set in place, and then like there's never going to be more. They know that when they're making it. There's a lot of, I feel like a lot of these kind of have that thing where it's like, now we're there. This doesn't feel, because in the first maybe like 20 minutes, I was like, okay, this is gonna be one of those things. Like, it seems kind of cool, but like it's gonna be like it's gonna have like a real pat resolution. It's just gonna be like, oh, I kind of wish that was the pilot for a TV show. It's
gonna be a Saturday morning cartoon that they never made the rest of.
Yeah, and it's not. Like it's a complete movie. It doesn't need a sequel. I'm not left wanting where I'm like, I wish they'd really done more with whatever. Like, it feels whole.
No, and I could even see a person looking at the ending and calling that sequel bait. I don't think that's what that is.
No, it's a great ending.
Yeah, it's a wonderful ending. This feels very much of a piece. Yeah. And in fact, I would almost I would probably raise an eyebrow if they made a sequel to this, because I'm not saying you couldn't. I'm not saying there's not great things you could do with that, and it might be cool to see more stuff in this continuity. Just because, I mean, like I said my best thing is score, but I think the actual real best thing about this movie is just style. I mean, it's just dripping with style.
Yeah, and they're always good at that when they do that. Like that thing that Bruce Timm did. Was it for Batman's 50th anniversary? That like black and white that was like Batman #1. Like, that was great.
It's supposed to be what an animated Batman thing would look like in 1939 if you had made Batman serials, like at the same time that we made the Fleischer cartoons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was. It's not Batman #1. I think it's the one with the vampire. It's like Detective like 32 or whatever.
I forget what.
But like that. But like it's. And they've done a couple of those things, and like they're always very good at that. They're good at the period piece things.
Yeah. Or even going back to Justice League, New Frontier.
Yeah, Justice League New Frontier. I feel like there's another one.
Like, this is an era we've never got to do before. Mm-hmm. And you're right, it's cool that the status quo is what Batman status quo looked like in the comics at that time.
Well, and it's also like,
because you were like, oh, are we doing Penthouse Batman? And that's exactly what we did. We didn't have a Batcave, and all he's got is a panel.
Mm-hmm. I kind of miss that. I miss Batman without the high-tech gadgets. Well, and also, like, this is what
so you miss him without the high-tech gadgets?
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But this is
cool.
what
I think he throws a Batarang one time in this movie.
He throws him a couple of times.
Is it a couple times?
Yeah.
But he doesn't rely on that.
No. But
and you see his training, he shouldn't have to rely on that.
but like this is what these guys all grew up with. Like Batman the Animated Series is so influenced by specifically 70s Batman.
Yeah.
Because that's what those guys were reading when they were reading Batman.
And then was modernized. And
Yeah.
this is kind of doing it backwards.
And essentialized. Like those aren't just like ripped straight. Like Batman has a Batcave and lives in Wayne Manor in the animated series. Like it's the essential Batman, but like it's very influenced by that 70s stuff. And so to get to see them do that, because we're never gonna get that. Like no one's gonna make the Batman cartoon where Bruce Wayne lives in a penthouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super. I'm all about it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And what did you think of the James Bond stuff?
I liked it. Yeah, I mean that feels very Shang-Chi to me. Like he looks like Bruce Lee, which is not what Richard Dragon looks like.
I don't understand how he got that name.
He
That is
also
very strange to me.
beats up.
Because we made an Asian guy now, and I really expected some place where he would like explain that he like chose that name. But even in the flashbacks when he gets started, he's called Richard Dragon. Like, how did he get that name?
I don't know.
Maybe he was adopted. I mean, anything's possible, I guess.
Well, I mean, James Hong.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay,
all right.
But yeah, like that all like I was like, okay,
But maybe he took, because this happens sometimes. Maybe he took an English first name so that it was easier for people to pronounce his name.
But
like,
Dragon's
people
not
do
a.
that.
But Dragon's also not a like that's not a Chinese or
No, it's
or
not.
Japanese
But
last
that's
name.
the thing is like Richard is whatever. Like maybe he just calls himself that, but his name is Dragon. But then you can go, okay, but heightened comic book stuff. But nobody else has names like that. Like.
There's the one guy's name is Rip Jagger.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
But
So you're saying I should not have a problem with it?
I don't think you should.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
But so like at the beginning, like I was like, oh, so they just want to make Shang-Chi. Like he looks like Bruce Lee. Shang-Chi looks like Bruce Lee. He's a secret agent. Like Shang-Chi is Kung Fu James Bond. Like that's what we're doing. And then it kind of stops. Like it's just in that beginning, like because he's a secret agent, and then we get on to the actual like Kung Fu Batman adventure. I liked it. I thought it was fun. It is something I've seen done more than the Kung Fu stuff. So like I was glad that we weren't just doing that because.
Were you worried at the beginning? Because it has basically a James Bond style. Well, maybe Kung Fu a little too, but I thought the opening credits, that sequence was more of a Bondian type thing.
Yeah, I thought so too. It's like Bond mixed with like that drive-in theater thing, or not, or like grindhouse theater thing.
It would have been really funny if it had a song where it was like "Soul of the Dragon."
Well, and Soul of the Dragon's a perfect title for like a send-up song like that.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 3 has a great one. They have a
James Bond
song.
That's awesome.
For Snake Eater, that's great.
I also really appreciated that, again, going back to the title thing, that that wasn't just a random thing they called it. Like when you get to the end, that title has everything to do with the plot.
Yeah, it has like a meaning
the story.
To it.
Yeah, there's a thing with a soul and a dragon. Like it's about that. But a lot of, if I know my history correctly, don't we take a lot of kung fu movies and name them something just totally arbitrary in America? Where it's just a something of the dragon. It has nothing to do with what you're looking at.
Well, especially after
the word dragon sells the movie.
There's one I can't remember what it is. There's like a really it's Fists of Fury, five Fingers of Death, I think. We made it like King Boxer, or that's reversed. But I'm pretty sure it's Five Fists of Death, and we made it King Boxer. Yeah, almost none of the Kung Fu movies were released under their actual titles in America. And everything had dragon after Bruce Lee died.
Yeah.
It's Return of the Dragon and other dragon things. But yeah, no, I'm... Because I kept telling you, like, as I was putting off of, I was like, I am excited to see this movie.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's good, and I'm very pleased with it. I'm very glad it's... Because, like, I feel like this is a movie that very easily could have felt phoned in and, like, hey, it's like, Kung Fu.
Well, it hasn't
I saw Kill Bill.
It hasn't been that long ago that we saw some things that did exactly that.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's better than both seasons of Iron Fist. And it's way shorter.
Yeah. But, like, it's actually the thing it's presenting itself as.
Yep. Yeah, and well, it feels like these people cared about kung fu stuff, unlike Iron Fist.
Yeah, and also understood it. But again, it had a lot of reverence for Batman himself at the same time, which was the thing that most surprised me. Like, that's the thing I was most able to grab onto, was the character stuff with Batman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the kung fu stuff's not as familiar to me. So if you put, Batman in the title and you're going to make it a kung fu thing, the one thing you've really got to bring in anybody that's not familiar with any of that stuff is to really put Batman at the forefront, which it does, and make it actually about that character. But there were a number of places where you were pointing out references to things that were
I was
completely
like, oh, that's from this. That's
over my head.
I think this is this.
So I was glad to have that to latch on to.
It's also globetrotting Batman, which we don't do much anymore, which is also a very 70s thing.
You said early on that you would have been really happy with, or were even maybe hoping for, a Bruce Wayne that didn't put the costume on very much. How did you feel about it?
I was
he put it on a lot.
But like that opening action scene,
I loved the kind of absurdity of that. Like, this is not a thing that is annoyingly not referential, self-aware, like you're always complaining about with things, where it's like, we can have a character with a silly costume, but everybody has to make fun of a silly costume.
Yeah,
like,
there's none
this
of that.
doesn't have any of that.
No, there's no self-aware, not in a bad way. It's not like the people that made this know what they're making.
Yes,
but no one.
But everybody in the thing takes it seriously.
Yes.
So if
which
there's
is how you're supposed to do it.
If there's any tongue-in-cheekness, is in the production, not in the characters.
Yes, which is how you're supposed to do it.
Like, there's one place where we call attention to a name somebody picks for themselves, but not because it's silly, because everybody thinks it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that. We did that with Bronze Tiger. It was like, oh, what'd you call yourself? What was that whole
Black
thing?
Samurai.
Like, yeah, what'd you go? Black Samurai? No, I called myself Bronze Tiger. It was like, that's awesome!
Yep.
That's how you do with that.
Yep. No, I was so pleasantly surprised with this. So yeah, no, I'm gonna pick this up sometime in the near future, and I will own it. Which I don't think I say that super often with these. Like, even with the ones I'm not gonna buy Justice League Dark Conclusion, whatever.
Even though it was
called.
pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. I don't feel super compelled to go back to it.
Why
I'll
would you
rewatch
need to
this.
see it again? Yeah. Well, yeah, we were just glad that we weren't bored or wanting to, stab ourselves in the face with a steak knife.
Yeah.
Because I got really tired of that. Like,
stabbing yourself in the face with a steak knife.
I got really tired of that.
And plastic surgery came in good though. I thought you can't even tell.
Thanks, man. I've been trying not to call too much attention to it, because then people are looking for the scars, But anyway, so we're 2 for 2 on these new ones.
Yep.
And that makes us at least 3 for 3 on the last few that we've had to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't think we've done
I loved that
one in a
Wonder
long
Woman
time. Yeah, and I thought it was just okay. But you really, really liked that one.
I did.
And
I'm 4 for 4.
Even some of the not... Yeah. Was there one in between? I don't think there was.
No, but I keep forgetting them. Like, you have to keep reminding me that the Legion one existed. I keep forgetting that existed.
Yeah, that was fine, but I'll never... I mean, if I didn't have to do a rewind, I would never see that again. Like, and then, Hush was okay.
Yeah, we thought it was all right.
So, I don't know. We haven't done a terrible one.
We've got Long Halloween coming up. We'll see how that is.
You have to improve that story. And I'm afraid that they won't, because it's beloved. So it's like you can't touch it. My guess is
2 parts. We're like Hush. They had to like compress it.
Yeah, and it almost scares me more that it's going to be longer, because I think you can do Long Halloween in 83 minutes.
I don't know. I don't know if you can.
I think you could improve on it and simplify it. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Because it has to be one a month. Like, that's the thing.
That's
the thing
fair.
About that, and I feel like 80 minutes is difficult for one a month.
Okay. Yeah,
because that's not even 10 minutes a month.
You'd have to truncate some of them.
Yeah.
You're right. Now, if they play it almost like a vignette thing, where it's like, here's a story of the way this went down for this month, and then it would warrant that. I'm just worried that we're gonna be in a year one kind of situation, where it's like, nah, you just did the book. And,
well, but that
I mean,
was
the
fine
difference
for Dark
is
Knight Returns. Year one just sucked. The
way it was adapted.
Yeah, the Batman voice was terrible.
That's not me saying that year one should have been changed at all. It was just a bad adaptation.
Well, and that one also felt like sanitized. Like, that felt like it was watered down. Like, it was the book, but a like lesser version of the book, which they didn't do when they did Dark Knight Returns. They just did the book kind of exactly as is, with minor alterations.
Yeah,
for adaptation.
There's definitely some straight up some actual adaptation going on there.
And like, I don't know. I feel like Long Halloween you can make work. Like, really, you just have to fix that ending.
And I'm afraid they won't, because that's one of the 3 Batman stories people bring up when they bring up Batman stories. Like, people think that story is perfect, and you and I reviewed it a couple years ago, and it's
and
not.
Hush also is up there. Like, Hush is a lot of people. Like, a lot of people. treat like it's also like one of the great Batman stories.
That's true, but I don't know. Do they talk about it in the same way? It seems like that's more for the novelty of it. Where Long Halloween, it's like this is a brilliant, so sort of like Killing Joke. It's like you can't mess with Killing Joke.
I think Long Halloween only gets that because no one liked it.
Do you think? Because I felt like I was hearing about that book a lot even before then.
I don't.
Okay.
But like Hush is a
Might
lot
have just
of
been
people's
circles, man.
favorite before Court of the Owls, like Hush was the this should be your first Batman book, or this was my first Batman. Like Hush is a lot of that. I think there's a lot of fans.
Was it really? Were people saying that should be your first Batman story?
Well, people still say that because it's a tour of the Batman universe, and you see all the villains. You like. I get why people would say that. It's a big dumb action movie. Like it's just it's not good.
It's just not good.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm curious to see how they adapt that, because I think you could really improve on it. I think you could have a what is that movie? I think you could have a Jason Todd situation.
Yeah. Well,
why is that not coming to me? What is that movie?
Under the Red
Under
Hood.
the Red Hood. Yeah,
Well,
I think you could have a Red Hood situation.
And I hate what that movie's done to the generation slightly younger than me, because everyone now acts like that's a great comic book story because that movie's good. Those comics suck.
Yeah, no,
they
I know.
still suck.
Yep.
But people act like it's one of the great Batman stories. I'm like, no, it was a pretty good animated movie. Like,
and you can't
the
have
comics are not.
And you can't have the same scenario that you did with that, because you wouldn't have Jeff Loeb come in and write it and make it better.
No, because Jeff Loeb can't make things better.
Which is what you had with that movie. That was the same writer coming in and fixing it.
Yep.
But anyway, well, thanks a lot for watching, folks. Let us know in the comments what you thought if you saw this movie, Batman Soul of the Dragon. And if you haven't seen it yet, we both recommend it, so check it out. I don't think it's on HBO Max yet, but I would not be surprised if it wasn't put up in the not-too-distant future, because they've already put up, I don't know if they have that new Superman movie, but they have already put up Death in the Family, which I've not reviewed, and it's really short, and I don't know that I need to at this point. But
you said nobody like after that first week, nobody messaged you and was like, "Hey, you gonna review that?"
No, it's just a short thing. I didn't even finish it. I watched 15 minutes of it and then got busy and forgot to go back to it. And too much of it was flashbacks from Under the Red Hood. It's that short, and it keeps going back and recapping that movie. It was very strange.
Weird.
I didn't even get to the Choose Your Own Adventure part of it. So I don't even know how that works. I haven't gotten there yet. I just felt like I was watching a really long previously on for a half-hour movie.
Alternate endings, right? It's not like you get to navigate. You just pick which ending you want.
Is that all it is? Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I think so. I just haven't done it, so I don't know. And then I think they just slapped on a couple of other short films on the disc. If you got the disc. But anyway. Well, thanks again for watching, folks. Sure appreciate it. Eric will come back with this again in the not-too-distant future with something else, I'm sure. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan.
I was Eric.
And we'll see you later. Bye, folks.